There are certain names that become permanently attached to someone else's story. For years, Elin Nordegren was introduced to the world not as her own person, but as the woman standing beside Tiger Woods. She was the quiet, graceful Swedish beauty who somehow ended up at the center of the most explosive sports scandal the modern era had ever witnessed. And then, almost as suddenly as she had appeared in the public consciousness, she vanished. No interviews, no revenge tour, no reality television debut. Just silence. But here is what the world never fully understood about Elin Nordegren. The silence was never weakness. It was strategy. It was dignity. And it was the foundation upon which she quietly built one of the most remarkable second acts in celebrity history. So if you think you already know her story, take a deep breath, because who she is today will genuinely surprise you. To understand how far Elin has come, you have to go back to where she started, and it was not on any red carpet or in any spotlight. She was born on January 1, 1980 in Stockholm, Sweden, into a family defined not by glamour, but by substance. Her mother, Barbro Holmberg, was a distinguished politician who eventually served as Sweden's Minister for Migration and Asylum Policy. Her father, Thomas Nordegren, worked as a respected radio journalist and foreign correspondent. From her earliest years, Elin was surrounded by people who valued intellect, privacy, and meaningful contribution over appearances. Growing up in that environment shaped her in ways that would only become fully visible decades later. She was not the kind of young woman who chased fame or sought out cameras. She studied hard, worked part-time jobs, and did some modeling for Swedish magazines purely as a way to support herself financially. It was never a passion and never a career path she intended to pursue. She was simply a disciplined, grounded young woman with a strong sense of self who happened to be remarkably beautiful. Her path to America was not planned. It was the result of a chance encounter at a clothing store where she worked, where she met Mia Parnevik, the wife of Swedish professional golfer Jesper Parnevik. Mia was impressed by Elin's quiet confidence and trustworthy nature and offered her a position as a nanny for their children. Elin accepted, packed her life into luggage, and moved to Florida, entering an entirely new world without fully realizing what that world was about to ask of her. Through the Parnevik social circle, Elin was eventually introduced to Tiger Woods. And this is where the story takes on a different texture than most people realize. Tiger was not simply a famous golfer at that point. He was a global phenomenon, a billion-dollar brand with the kind of gravitational pull that bent reality around him. But Elin was not immediately impressed. According to people close to the situation at the time, she was actually resistant to the idea of dating someone living under that level of scrutiny. She valued her anonymity. She liked the ordinary rhythm of daily life. The idea of surrendering that for someone constantly followed by cameras held very little appeal. It reportedly took months of genuine persistence from Tiger before she agreed to spend time with him. And what followed was a romance that felt, at least from the outside, like something real and private, even as it became increasingly public. They got engaged in 2003 during a trip to South Africa and married in October 2004 at the Sandy Lane Resort in Barbados, surrounded by high-profile guests and an army of security personnel keeping the world at bay. By every visible measure, it was the beginning of a beautiful life. The years that followed were defined by an almost deliberate invisibility on Elin's part. Tiger's fame continued to expand at a pace that seemed almost inhuman. He was winning major tournaments, signing landmark endorsement deals, and cementing his place not just as the greatest golfer alive, but as one of the most recognizable human beings on the planet. And throughout all of it, Elin stayed in the background not because she lacked substance, but because the background was where she genuinely preferred to be. She gave birth to their daughter Sam Alexis in 2007, and their son Charlie Axel arrived in 2009. She turned down interview requests from major publications, even when the financial offers were significant. She avoided social media entirely. She did not attend parties designed for photographers. She focused on her children, her home, and a private life that she had worked hard to protect. People who knew her described a woman who missed the ordinary freedoms she had enjoyed before fame arrived at her door. The ability to shop without being recognized, to walk in the park without cameras nearby, to have a conversation without wondering who might be listening. None of that internal complexity was visible from the outside. What the world saw was Tiger and Elin, the golden couple, the picture of success and stability. And then November 27, 2009 arrived and changed everything. The details of that Thanksgiving night have been told and retold in ways that range from accurate to wildly embellished. What is not disputed is the basic sequence of events. In the early hours of the morning, Tiger crashed his vehicle near their Florida home. And in the days that followed, A story that began as a traffic incident unraveled into something that exposed a hidden life most people had never imagined possible beneath that carefully managed public image. Women began coming forward in significant numbers. Text messages and voicemails were shared with tabloids. The names kept accumulating. The sponsorships began to fall away. Accenture ended a 6-year relationship. Gillette scaled back his role in campaigns. The man who had built an empire on an image of focus, discipline, and integrity was suddenly facing the complete destruction of that image in real time. And Elin said nothing publicly. While the entire world watched and waited for her reaction, she simply did not give them one. She was seen occasionally at school events for the children, traveling to visit family in Sweden, moving through ordinary moments with her composure completely intact. In a media environment that was practically offering her a megaphone, she put it down and walked away. What that cost her personally only she fully knows. But she gave a rare glimpse into that interior world during a single interview with People magazine, the only detailed public statement she ever made about the scandal. She described feeling blindsided in a way that went beyond simple surprise. She had not suspected anything. She had not looked the other way. She had simply trusted the person she was married to and believed the life they had built together was exactly what it appeared to be. She said the word betrayal did not feel strong enough to capture what she experienced, that her entire understanding of her own life had been called into question. And then she said something that revealed exactly who she was and is. She talked about working toward forgiveness. Not for Tiger's sake and not for public consumption, but because she understood that forgiveness is ultimately something you do for yourself. It was a response that required genuine emotional maturity from someone whose pain was entirely legitimate and entirely fresh. In August 2010, the divorce was finalized. The settlement was widely reported to be in the range of $100 million, making it one of the most substantial celebrity divorces in recorded history. A custody arrangement was established that kept both parents meaningfully involved in Sam and Charlie's lives. And then, as if following a script only she had written, Elin stepped back from public life almost completely. What she did next is where her story stops being about Tiger Woods entirely and becomes something genuinely inspiring on its own terms. She enrolled at Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida. Not for publicity. Not to generate sympathetic headlines about her brave new beginning. She enrolled because she wanted to learn, and specifically because she wanted to understand the psychology of human behavior, of pain, of healing, and of resilience. She attended classes alongside students who were a decade younger than her, in many cases students who barely knew the details of her past. She did not walk in seeking special treatment or looking for recognition. She walked in as a student. And she was extraordinary at it. In 2014, she graduated with a 3.96 grade point average, earning her bachelor's degree in psychology and taking home the Outstanding Senior Award, which recognized not only academic performance but character and community contribution. She delivered a speech at the graduation ceremony that touched on gratitude, resilience, and the meaning of genuine growth. It was a moment that required no tabloid narrative to make it significant. It was simply a woman who had been through something devastating and come out of it sharper and more purposeful than before. Alongside her studies, Elin was building something else quietly. She had always had a natural eye for design and an appreciation for architectural beauty rooted partly in her Scandinavian upbringing, where clean lines, functionality, and elegance are woven into the culture. She purchased a $12 million oceanfront mansion in North Palm Beach, and rather than simply moving in, she had it demolished entirely and rebuilt from the foundation up. Over several years, she designed a property that merged Swedish minimalist sensibility with Florida coastal living in a way that was entirely her own. In 2020, she sold that property for $28.6 million, more than double her original investment, making it one of the most significant residential real estate transactions in Palm Beach County that year. She did this without a single press release, without a lifestyle brand attached to her name, and without any social media presence to promote it. She simply did the work, made smart decisions, and let the results speak. That approach captures something essential about who Elin Nordegren is and has always been. She does not perform. She does not curate a public image for external validation. She builds real things with real value and moves forward. In her personal life, Elin eventually found her way back to love, and she did it on her own quiet terms. Around 2017, she began a relationship with Jordan Cameron, a former NFL tight end who had played for the Cleveland Browns and the Miami Dolphins before retiring due to the lasting effects of multiple concussions. Like Elin, Jordan had stepped away from the competitive spotlight early and found more meaning in private life. He was calm, thoughtful, and grounded in ways that complemented who she was. In 2019 they welcomed a son together. The news only became public after Elin was spotted with a visible baby bump at one of her children's sporting events. No announcement had been made. No magazine had been sold an exclusive. The confirmation came quietly, through a brief interview Jordan gave in which he simply described their family life as peaceful and private. That was all. And that was entirely consistent with who Elin has always been. Their relationship remains largely out of the public eye. There are no red carpet appearances, no brand partnership announcements, and no social media documentation of their life together. There is simply a family raising children and living with intention. Her co-parenting relationship with Tiger Woods has also matured significantly over time. After the understandable turbulence of the immediate post-divorce period, both parents have evidently committed to prioritizing their children above every other consideration. They have been seen together at Sam and Charlie's sporting events, maintaining cordial and respectful interactions that suggest a genuine shared focus on their kids' well-being. Tiger has acknowledged in interviews that Elin has been an exceptional mother, and Charlie's growing passion for golf, the sport that defines his father's legacy, appears to be something both parents support together. Today, Elin Nordegren lives a life that would be almost unrecognizable to the woman who appeared in those tabloid photographs 15 years ago, and that is entirely the point. She owns property in Florida and maintains a lifestyle defined by family, personal growth, and the kind of deep privacy she has always valued. She remains committed to psychology and mental health awareness, even without a public platform attached to that commitment. She has built financial independence through real estate and careful investment. She has raised children who, by all visible accounts, are grounded and thriving. And she has done all of it without asking for anyone's applause. There is something powerful in